It's been a year since the last season of Umbrella Academy been posted. Some people liked the ending, but most people didn't. Today we'll talk about how Umbrella Academy, the series that was popular back in 2020, fell so tragically. But before we start, I hope you like and comment on this video, and of course don't forget to subscribe. I really appreciate that. Umbrella Academy, the show which based on a comic book series that was created by Garrett Way and Gabriel Ba. The story starts with 7 kids of a very wealthy and mysterious man, house full of secrets and people's story lives that were unequal in the 2019 when series released. But sadly, show didn't get so much attention at first season. But when season 2 was released, most of the people were shocked, especially I am, how good it was. Every character was written right, and every detail is good. Actors' play is amazing. The most popularity got the character Five Hargreaves, played by Aidan Gallagher, and Vanya or Victor, since season 3, played by Elliot Page. But sadly, after the peak of season 2, things started to change. Season 3, while still having some interesting storylines and cool moments, didn't hit the same emotional or narrative high as season 2. A lot of fans felt like the plot became a bit too confusing, and the stakes didn't feel as urgent. And season 4 became an upsetting one by so many reasons. Short final season. One of the biggest complaints was the unusually short length of season 4, just 6 episodes, compared to the usual 10 in earlier seasons. For a show packed with layered characters, multiple timelines, and long-running mysteries, there just wasn't enough time to properly wrap everything up. Fans wanted to see logical denouement of Luther and Sloane that just disappeared and forgot as she never existed. Victor's and Allison's relationship didn't get their ending, like it was on pause and always be. Things in the whole season seemed to be so fast and tangled that most people didn't even understand the point. This makes the season feel more like a summary than a real story. Fans who had followed the show for years were hoping for closure, payoffs, and depth. What they got instead was a final season that felt like Netflix told the writers, wrap it up fast. Timeline confusion. After the cliffhanger at the end of season 3, fans were intrigued. The Umbrella Academy siblings had landed in a completely altered timeline, crafted by Reginald Hargreaves himself. Sounds exciting, but instead of exploring this new world in details, the show dumped us into it with very little explanation. We just saw how they landed in the new timeline, and writers thought that it's gonna be a really good idea to just write 6 years later, without showing backstory how Umbrella team lived those 6 years. Their past struggles, relationships, sacrifices, basically the emotional core of the show didn't seem to matter anymore. Reginald was alive and powerful, essentially controlling the new reality, but instead of feeling like a big threat, he became more of a distant and mysterious figure. Love triangle. Fans got really angry about love triangle between Diego, Five and Lila, and I agree, it wasn't really necessary to put Lila and Five in love relationship, especially after their difficult relationship in season 2 or 3. It seems like writers wanted to give Five love interest, not with mannequin but with human, and they could have given him this instead of Lila by adding a new character like his colleague at work, and they didn't do it because there was no time. Writers decided to ruin Five's and Diego's relationship like they weren't close and didn't have close bond in past seasons. The end. Most fans didn't appreciate the end of the show, and we understand why. After all chaos, heartbreak, and timelines collapsing, the series final gave us an ending that was meant to be deep and mysterious, but instead felt confusion and kind of meaningless. In the end, we see that Umbrella Team was the problem all this time, and they shouldn't exist. Sounds dramatic, right? But then you start to think about it and it falls apart logically. If the Umbrella Academy was never born, how is Diego's kid still alive? If Diego never existed, neither should his children with Lila. Same with Allison's daughter, Claire. If Allison's entire timeline was wiped, how is Claire still there? And more importantly, how is she alive with both Allison and Ray from the 60s? It felt like the show was trying to be ambiguous, but it just came across as incomplete and disconnected. For a story built around found family, trauma, healing, and sacrifice, the ending gave us none of that. So in the end, The Umbrella Academy is a perfect example of a show that started intensive, mysteriously, emotionally, ends up to be confusion and tangled. Whether it was the rushed final season, the confusion timeline reset, the lack of the character development, or the illogical ending that ignored its own rules. It's no surprise that so many fans walked away disappointed. But despite all of that, The Umbrella Academy still gave us some great TV moments, unforgettable characters, and a fandom that truly cared. Maybe that's the legacy it leaves behind. Not the ending, but the ride. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, you're awesome. Write a comment below and let me know what you thought of the final season. Did it work for you, or were you as confused and let down as the rest of us? Anyway, see you next week, guys. Bye.